Welcome into SportsSource.tv. Our overtime segment today brought to you as always by the good folks at Jinx Logos. You see the phone number right there, 865-755-7767. They do tremendous work, as I can show you right there. That is a visor, that is a cap, both done with our logo, our word mark and our logo, done in a metallic copper to match our look. They can do just about anything. Jimmy Andrews, not only is he a great guy to do business with, very patient, makes you feel like you are his only client, which when you are a client, that's pretty good. But also, he's just a great guy. He's just a good guy to deal with. And they can help you put your logo on any promotional item. And let me tell you, the selection is incredible, but the prices are just nuts. I don't know how he makes a living. The prices are so perfect. I've dealt with these folks before, these types of folks before. I've never dealt with anybody better than Jimmy Andrews and Jinx Logos. Check them out. Okay. This week was the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's assassination. I watched a bunch of shows this week, and that got me thinking, you know, if you could go back in time, what moment would you go back and change and that kind of thing? And then on a much less serious note, I thought, you know what, let's do that in our overtime segment. You guys, both covered UT in various ways, radio, newspaper, TV, but you're also fans. I mean, you guys have no problem admitting that you're fans now. So my question is, if you could go back in time, change any one moment, UT Sports,
no, it's
what would that one moment be?
Wow.
I know.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to go with one that's a little odd. How about Doug Dickey doesn't retire? Because I think when Doug Dickey retired, the wheels maybe didn't come off at that moment, but that's when the lug nuts really got loose. And that led to a whole lot of other bad stuff happening down the line. So if I could go back in time and also tell Doug Dickey, you got to go back in time because you got to stay young so you don't retire. But the retirement of Doug Dickey led to a lot of things. And the retirement of Joe Johnson as president as well.
I had the Doug Dickey thing down and I changed it. But one of the things I was going to say is go back in time, offering $5 million a year. And the thing is, that would have still saved you money based on all the buyouts you gave everybody else since Doug Dickey.
And that was still a lot of money back then.
I mean, you know, people didn't like Doug Dickey, but he kept you out of trouble. Now, basketball was, people say he didn't like basketball, didn't try with basketball. If he didn't like basketball, didn't try with basketball, he would have just kept Wade Houston. He tried over and over to get it right. He hired the hot name. And so I think that's good. I changed mine. I didn't go there, and I'm glad. But I'm thinking along the same lines. Doug Dickey, when he left, that was a big change. What would you change, Chuck?
You know, I kind of thought about that, at the 2001 SEC championship game in football where things kind of started going a different way. The one I would change would be the Bruce Pearl barbecue. It never happens. How many lives does that impact, and how many things are changed in the aftermath of what happened if there was never the Bruce Pearl barbecue?
Or any of the other barbecues that didn't come to light.
But you would take Bruce Pearl's barbecue away from him, and he couldn't barbecue.
He couldn't grill out. Okay, well, I was going in a different direction. I wound up going, the big issue is football, obviously. Lane Kiffin leaves, you panic. Everybody wants to rush to save the recruiting class, which I said at the time, who cares about the recruiting class? I would rather have a good coach who will be there for 10 years than some guys who are supposedly going to be good players for the next 2 or 3 years on paper. UT panicked, so if it's me, I go back in time and I tell Mike Hamilton and all of the other decision makers at that time, because after Lane Kiffin left, everybody acts like, oh, Mike Hamilton did all this. Mike Hamilton didn't have as much power after Lane Kiffin left. There were 3 planes flying all over the country talking to people during that coaching search. I would go back to the powers that be and say, folks, calm down.
Yeah.
You've got Kippy Brown here.
Exactly.
Make him the interim coach for a year. Take a year. Don't panic. Just say, we got this. If Kippy Brown turns out to be a great coach and surprises you, it's a win. If you don't have a good year, but you take a whole year to find the right guy and you don't hire Derek Dooley, it's a bigger win.
It's a big win.
So to me, that would be the one I would go back and say, all right, look, nip it in the bud right here. You've got Kippy on staff. Let him be the interim coach and don't panic and make a hire.
You might even know, we talked about it, we know what happened, even if you go back a year or so before that, the firing of Philip Fulmer. And if you would have known how that would have turned out and the events that would have, if you give Coach Fulmer one more year, You know, you had some quarterback commitments that were going to be pretty good coming in. Who knows what happened?
If they would have come through.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing. My only issue on those is, well, he had a great recruiting class lined up. What was it, 2 years earlier that he had the great class and then everybody defected on signing day and he said, these kids, did they lie to you?
Yeah.
Who's to say that that wouldn't have happened then?
Yeah.
But that, to me, that one is the biggest question mark because you have the Fulmer camp and you have the anti-Fulmer camp. And I think that one would probably be the most hotly debated. I'm surprised one of you didn't actually make that your
I had it on my list.
Choice.
You know.
That was up higher on my. That was pretty high on my list too. I kind of the basketball stuff. Tennessee has had such periods of dysfunction in basketball.
Football's king.
Football is the king, and I just see, and you can't underestimate the effect of the changes in the presidency as well.
Yeah,
the turbulent stuff there.
W and then Obama. And oh, you mean Joe Johnson? You're exactly right.
Your football coach wasn't getting the support that he was getting. I don't think Phil Fulmer was getting the support that he was getting.
And he made that comment over the weekend. That's the one thing he noticed is how there's more of a spirit of cooperation from the very top to the chancellor, the president.
Well, I guess they figured out a spirit of uncooperation wasn't working very well.
Well, I don't know how you would have a spirit. I mean, if you're changing the president every other year, how do you build any kind of relationship there? I mean, I wouldn't expect him to feel like he was tight with the guy who's in here for 18 months before he leaves in scandal.
Or if you have a time where there was more of an emphasis, you thought, from the top of being top 25 academic or research as opposed to top 25 football. Football wasn't as important, some people say.
See, I don't buy that, but okay.
Yeah, well, some people say.
Some people do say that. I don't buy that because Florida's top 25 in both. I mean, there are people say you can't be one or the other. I mean, you can't be both. You have to be one or the other. Well, no, Florida's typically been both. But the Fulmer thing's interesting. That's the one that because I don't know. You have 2 losing seasons in 4 years. I don't, and you don't win a championship in 10 years. I don't know that keeping him leads to you're back to the championship level. Now, granted, you've been through hell since you made the decision, but I think most of that though goes back to Derek Dooley. Personally, the Derek Dooley hire will be remembered worse. It's more important, a bigger deal than Lane Kiffin leaving.
Or Lincoln's assassination.
Or Lincoln's assassination in East Tennessee. At least Lincoln didn't wear orange pants, as far as we know. All right, we will see you next Sunday, Channel 6, 11 a.m., WATE. For the Sports Source, we appreciate you joining us here. We appreciate you watching every Sunday. Thank you for visiting with us. Thank you for visiting our sponsors. Very important. We'll see you next week.